Well, here we are again. This is something I don't want to see. Check engine light. Kind of got a little bit of a sputter to it. You know, kind of a little bit of a mist to it. And as the mist kind of came and went, I wasn't sure. I thought I may have bought some bad fuel last night. And then its check engine light came on. Code P0204. Now, the last time I had a code like that, it was a P0207, and that was the number 7 injector connector. So I have an injector connector here with me. I'm thinking it's the number 4 injector connector. If not, I know that's a failing point, but if not, then it'll be the number 4 injector, I believe. So I'm here at an O'Reilly Auto Parts somewhere in Arizona. Luckily, I got Mr. Tennessee over here to pull me home if that's not it, but I think that's it. So if you guys have seen me do the number 7 on the other side, it's not that big a deal because there's nothing really in the way. I'm not sure. I've only seen other, a couple other videos, not of changing that connector, but of even doing anything like this in general. So the best of my understanding is these two fuel lines right here have got to be separated. This hot pipe has got to come off in order to get this plastic cover off. I'm going to try to do it without that. I will let you guys know how that works out for me. In case you need to do yours, you'll know, do you have to take all this other stuff off? And if I have to take it off, you'll see that in the video. First thing I'm going to do, though, is get the truck jacked up. Alright, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be jacking it up with my factory jack. And I have the factory jack handle here and the factory jack. One thing I like to do is take and put a 13mm socket, fits that, a 13mm 12-point socket, fits that square right there really nice. And I try to get up past that ball just a little bit. Do not use an impact. An impact doesn't work very well with it. I have a 3/8 adapter that goes in the drill that goes onto here. Put the drill in low range and the Milwaukee will raise it up. Once you have the 3/8 adapter into the drill, you can put it on right here and then slip your jack right in here. Whole lot faster than the way that GM gives you to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and place this right quick. One thing about it, when you do this, you don't want to place the jack under the suspension. You want to go under the frame. That way it'll stretch the suspension out and give you more room between the tire and the fender. You do not want to take the tire off the ground. You just want to stretch the suspension out. I saw the tire start to pick up. That's how I'm going to go with it. Then I'm going to take my 3/8 Milwaukee impact or Milwaukee ratchet, a 1/4 inch adapter, a T15 Torx bits, and we're going to start. Now we're going to start taking all the fender screws out to get the inner fender out, and I'll also need a 10mm to get the mud flap off. So. Thing dusty, dirty. Have the inner fender well out. Right in here is where we're going. Right behind that hot pipe. Right down in here. So 10mm, and take this bolt out, and there should be another one just like it. I don't know if there's anything else in there or not. Oh yeah, it is. Another one right behind that hot pipe right there. Yeah, I can't see it, but I can feel it. So there's the two of those loose. They don't come all the way out. Just kind of feeling it. Oh man, the way they made it. That pipe right there is going to have to come off. All right, I was thinking I was going to get lucky and be able to pull this up and just slip it right past everything, but I'm not going to be able to do that. The way that it's designed, you can't do it. So I'm going to take this the hot pipe connector off right there, and that should allow me to pull this back far enough to get that off without taking the fuel lines off, I hope. Now this stuff's not been off in nearly 300,000 miles, so I don't know how bad this is gonna be. I'm not taking the nut all the way off, but I just want it loosened up something like that, so where I know there's plenty of room. And then I'm gonna have to get a pick or something to get down in there and spread that apart. The first thing I gotta go get is my step. I can't reach. Now I needed some hose picks. I didn't have that, all I had was a flathead screwdriver. I just kind of started working around this clamp until it started coming loose. And then I got right in here and started working on this until it started coming loose. And I believe it's about to give up and come off. Just be very, very, very careful with all this stuff. But if I can do it in a truck stop parking lot, you can do it. I didn't loosen my bolt far enough, as it's having to go around that big lip on here. It needs to be a little bit looser. Bring it all the way to the top, but not all. Alright, so now that I got this off, alright, so there's some clips that I'm going to take off. The fuel line is going to have to come off. I hope that I can get it without it. But these two clips right here do have to come off. They come off pretty easy. You get up underneath them. They will take off lines, so be easy. There's one. This is the one that's going to go flying. There's two. Then you'll need a tool like this. I hope. I went and bought this at O'Reilly's just a few minutes ago, hoping that one of these will be the right size. It's not gonna be that one, not gonna be that one. That looks good. There's that one. They're aggravating, that's why I say I don't like them. But if you work with it long enough, you will get it off. If you don't have a buddy around like Mr. Tennessee, you may need to get you something and tie this pipe to the radiator hose or forward, because it is all in the way. And absolutely make sure nothing goes in at either one of these holes. So we're gonna try it again. I rested my hands up, showing my age really bad. I'm gonna push it in. There's that one. And you notice we didn't lose a whole lot of fuel. And that should have it where I can get this to come. I want to pull these back here. Hopefully that's not too much flex for them. Figure out what we're binding up on. And we'll take this right out through the top here. I'm just gonna lay it over here because it's not a big deal. And then what we're going for is this joker right here. Right here is number one. You can see, I can't hardly see it, but there's number one. My camera won't focus. And then here's number two. So to get number two out, this little clip right here, it's got to go back. And when it goes back, there's a button in here you push down. So I'm having to be very hopeful on this. This is a genuine GM part. It's the same part number as the one I bought from GM. These came off Amazon. They're a little bit cheaper, and I can have them waiting on me when I get home. It looks identically the same inside and out. I'll link these in the description below. if you want to pick you up a couple off Amazon. I know I'll have to order me another one before I leave here. So we got tired of messing around with holding that hot pipe, so we just took a strap, went down to here. So I'll go ahead and get started cutting some wires. Doing this around the camera is going to be kind of interesting, but I'm going to do the best I can with it. I'm very concerned about the injector. I'm not very concerned about the injector connector because it will be replaced. Every one of these clips I've taken off, I've broken. If you see something I'm doing wrong, please let me know. But I'm just not in the mood to mess with it much right now. I'm going to take and push that down, and then this button should press down, but the clip is not all the way back. So very aggravating trying to get two hands on it with or without the camera. So but I do know that once you get it all the way back, it will pull right straight off. Heck, there's no good way at all to get a hold of this thing, especially with you guys. Don't take it personally, but you're all in the way. No, you got to move. All right, I got the camera repositioned a little bit, and the connector should come off now because, so there's your old injector connector for number 4. And once you got that red lock off, it just unplugged really easily. Trying to unwrap this a little bit. The more room you can get to work, in my opinion, the better. Alright, now we're going to strip a little bit off of each one of these. I was always told it's a good idea to unhook the batteries when doing this, but I did not. I'm just going to make really sure that I don't get against anything that'll ground it out. And I don't want them touching each other while I'm working, so I'm going to keep it right like that. And this is not the proper way to do it. If you're doing it with side cutters like I am, make sure not to cut the whole wire. That makes you feel really bad when you do stuff like that. And to the best of my understanding, these wires are not polarity sensitive. You can put them either way. I'm not even worried. That's my fourth one that I've done, but the first one on this side, and I've never been concerned about it. I've never had to watch for it. Now this, I want to cut these about right here. You don't want them too long. You don't want them too short. But what I've learned about it is you can make a coil like that and usually stay out of the way of everything. Well, I'm probably gonna cut these about right here, and then I'll put it in, plug it in, see how it looks, and then adjust it from there. You just don't want it hanging up from under that cover, and you don't want it into those metal lines where it could rub a hole in over time and short out. So like I say, I'm gonna go ahead and get that done. So I got my ends crimped on up here because I wanted to go ahead and do that, and Mr. Tennessee brought up a good point. Why didn't I put them on the end on the truck first? It doesn't matter, but yeah, in hindsight, doing what he suggested probably would have been easier to put them on down there. That way you didn't have this whole thing flopping around, but I did what I did, and it'd be all right. So I do not like these crimpers. I'm just gonna throw that out there. They do make a good crimp, and I know that you're supposed to go different places for them. I don't even think these are automotive crimpers, honestly. But anyway, this one right here I found makes a really good tight crimp right there. So I'm gonna set it up where I want it to crimp first. Now I'm gonna move it down here to the wire. I'm gonna figure out which wire do I think is the hardest one to get at first. Okay, if you do the hardest one first, then it should all be downhill from there, right? That will phrase more as a question, you know, right? And when you get older and your vision starts going, this stuff starts getting exceptionally tricky. But I think I got that one. Now, you do want to give it a good tug test. Now, you don't yank on it, but that's together. I'm happy with that. Because this is not something you want, you know, when you're doing wiring on lights or something. A week later, the light falls out and the wire comes apart. This is not something you want that to happen to. Get it set up exactly where I want it. I believe that's got that. So, what I like better about doing the other side is at this point, I would plug it in and fire it up and see if any codes is going on it. But as aggravating as this was to get apart, I'm not gonna do that. So, we'll get her lined up. I heard it all click together. It's on there good. And then I'm gonna figure out how I want to work this so it doesn't get anything. Another thing I've got to do that probably would have made a lot of sense and done before this, that's heat shrink wiring. So brought a little torch with me, because you know it only makes sense when you got an open fuel line to use a torch around it. All right, guys, there's a finished product. I taped up both ends of the butt connectors because I didn't like how the shrink wrap did. Then I taped it together and made the coil smaller, where on neither end the wires are not stressing on either end. So I think that's it. I'm ready to get this put back together and see if that fixed the problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started putting the plastic piece back on the cover. And with this thing, you know, it's a big plastic cover. That doesn't mean anything. Still be very easy, gentle, careful trying to get it back down on here, because you don't want to take this and push into something else and get something else messed up. I think it's right. Push it back down on the, there's little balls and balls that under these things that they snap onto. Let's make sure those got snapped on good. I heard that click. I heard that click. I'm gonna go ahead and put these jokers back on. They're pretty self-explanatory. Now, I'm gonna tighten up the two 10mm bolts. And guys, these don't have to be really tight. They're just more cosmetic. Hold that cosmetic cover on. There's that. Okay. Like I said, make sure that when you're doing this, there's no way anything can get in there. I've heard a lot of stories about this hot pipe being hard to deal with. So far, I have to say I've dealt with worse, but I don't want that to come back and bite me in a little while. So and if you don't have one of these things, it sure speeds the process up. I'm linking everything in this video in the description below, so everything from the injector connector to the ratchet. I'm thinking that's where it needs to be. It didn't fully compress the spring, but it is torqued down pretty good. I will probably grab an actual ratchet and put on that just to make sure I like it, because I do not want to blow that pipe off. Yeah, that's plenty tight enough. All right, guys, I have not plugged into it. I do have a new AUTEL Scantool that I'll go over in a later video, but right now, the two that I've replaced on this truck and the other truck, I'm thinking this is my third one. So the other ones, I haven't had to plug into them at all. Let's see what happens. And I do have a tire pressure monitor that's out also. I've been looking for one and no one seems to have one today, but let's see what happens. Emission system, see owner's manual. So far, it sounds pretty smooth. I expected this over here to be flashing. That's not a big deal. Coolant, hood, tire monitor system. All the emission stuff is gone. Where it was saying speed limited to 65 miles an hour earlier in so many miles. Way smoother than it was. I don't like just revving it up like that, but it is what it is. It's still on the jack, so I can't pull against it. These new vehicles, so slouchy when they're not under load. But it was shaking me, about to shake me apart earlier. So I'm gonna turn the key off. I'm gonna let it set for just a second with the door open to clear everything out. Shut everything down. Now, so the check engine light is still on, so it looks like you guys will get to see the new Scantool after all. All right, guys, this is the new AUTEL. I'm gonna do a video on it later, so I'm not going to explain a whole lot in depth about it now. If you do want to see more about this, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and I'll go over this as I learn about it, because I don't know everything there is to know about it. It's my first Scantool. I do know it comes with a nice case, and I do know that that's neat. So when you're going to use it, you just pull the adapter out, and then the auto sync comes out, and you just plug this right back in your diagnostics port. See, it lights up. On the last video that I did, there was a bunch of people asked me what kind of Scantool I used to cut this the codes off with after I was done. And this is the identical same one. The one I was using in that video was Mr. Tennessee's when I did the number 7. And this one is mine. I bought it. But if you don't have anything with a check engine light on, you really don't have a whole lot of time to play with it to learn about it. So I'm going to learn about it probably a month or so, and then I'll come out with a review and what I think of it. But as of right now, if I need it to do something like this, I'll go ahead and do it, and you guys can see that. There's the 204, the 304, the cylinder 4 misfire. Of course, it has a misfire if the injector connector is bad. The cylinder 4 injector circuit. We're going to hit clear DTCs. I want to clear continue. Both times on the number 7, I did not have to do any of this. It was just there. So because I'm impatient, it's getting late, I don't feel good, and I'm hungry, I'm gonna go ahead and try to start it again, see what happens. And the world's a better place. The light went off, everything's good. So guys, because I don't have the particulars about this, and I've only used it a few times, I do know that it does a forced regen, which is one of the reasons I bought it. I do know that it works on a multitude of different vehicles. One thing when I was playing with Mr. Tennessee's, I realized that you can check your door switches, like window switches. You can actually multi-function different things in the vehicle from this to check your switches. I thought that was neat. It does have a lot of cool features. I will be doing a video kind of explaining those a little bit later on. Right now I don't really feel like I know enough to tell about it to make a good video, but I will keep doing, whenever I use it, I'll continue to make the videos on what I'm doing with it. And the light's off, she's running smooth. I think we're back in business. So that's about all I know to do for this video. I am not going to bore you guys with putting my inner fender back in, letting the jack down, and all that stuff. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, I hope you got something out of it. If you did, like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.